Let's talk about all of you out there with toxic masculinity and how you're using it in your relationships to create very, very toxic environments and cycles and habits, and ultimately very toxic outcomes for your relationship. Now, I want to make something really clear here because I think there's always been this kind of confusion about what toxic masculinity is, that term, right? That term that was, I forget whenever it was created. But when people hear that, they get the wrong idea very often. When they hear toxic masculinity, they think, this masculine energy that is toxic, right? But in reality, masculinity itself is just an energy. It is not toxic by nature. Can't be. But people can use their masculinity in very toxic ways. And so this is where most men wind up being huge contractors from their relationships because of the way they utilize their masculinity in very toxic ways. And I'm saying this because a lot of men think, oh, I'm just being a man, right? Or I'm just being tough, or I'm being the rock the way I'm supposed to be in their relationships, in their homes, by, overpowering conversations with their women, right? By shutting everything down, by getting aggressive to handle situations in conflict, right? To have to go and get into their challenging energy to resolve all matters that don't require challenge to work through it. Or the good old trigger defense mechanism in anger, right? Whenever all else fails and you don't know how to regulate your emotions, you don't know how to actually, work through a circumstance constructively, you just get angry, just get triggered, right? Whenever something strikes your chords enough, right? And hits you in that soft spot, right? That vulnerable space or that sensitive area, you go and you turn up more, right? And your go-to button is to always ramp up your energy in a very negative way, confrontational way, instead of a productive way. I don't know if you truly believe it or think it or not, but hear it from me. You are not being manly in your relationship. You are not, being a actual leader the way you think. You're not bringing order to anything, right? If anything, you're bringing a dictator type of energy to the equation. If anything, you're proving and showing the woman that you're with, or even people around you, that you're not the safest and most secure person to be with. The exact opposite of what healthy men in their masculine energy want to exude, right? In the example they want to set, the tone they want to set. Whenever you use your masculinity in toxic ways, right? Toxic masculinity, all it's really screaming is you have not built the tools and the muscles to operate in healthy ways to get things accomplished, right? And your nature as a man, right? Your base position that's mostly based in your masculine, right? Because of the testosterone and things that you have, you're leaning on it in very unhealthy ways. Now, let's talk about why, right? See, the whole idea of toxic masculinity is because you're not healed. There's unhealthy things going on with inside of you that is coming out in very toxic ways by way of your masculinity, because that's the energy base you feel most comfortable in. And to be clear, unhealthy being something that is not positive in vibration, right? It doesn't have beneficial value or factors behind it that can be traced back to its root. It doesn't have the tangible road that shows why this is beneficial in a positive light. It doesn't feel good, right? See, and let me say this. A lot of times men that have internal wounds that are venting it out through their masculinity in toxic ways, on the surface for a moment can think it feels good to do it because it feels empowering, right? Feels like I'm taking control of something, and it feels reassuring and gives myself a sense of certainty, but it's fleeting. At the end of the day, it's tiresome, right? You get into this road where you're always having to fight, right? And our bodies, our natural vibration is a love vibration, right? because we're built for. That's why we all love to give love and receive love, because we are based around love. So if your norm is to lean into your masculine energy in a way that has to be aggressive and always has to be a fight, negative vibration, right? Because healthy is not a negative thing. It's only a positive vibration. Something negative, then now you are showing that you have unhealthy practices as a way of trying to exist and get by, right? To feel like you're empowered, to not feel weak or feel vulnerable and so forth. So you're leaning into your masculine in a way that actually does not serve you. Now, wait. Let's make sure something is really understood clearly. Toxic masculinity is not specifically owned by men. Women are very much is capable of exhibiting toxic masculinity just like men can. And women often do, just in the same right. If you're a woman that gets very, aggressive or defensive or combative with men, right? So you challenge them because maybe in your past or things you've seen with other women in your life, men treating them wrong, right? And so you take that defensive stance for yourself to show up in, you kind of have like a demeanor that's already at a base, anger towards men, because you're being cautious, right? Your goal, you don't want your intent isn't just to be angry at them and be a certain way towards them, but you're protecting yourself, right? You're making sure that you're good. Or if you see a man out there in public or what have you, having certain conversations or whatever, you get ready until you start telling him what he needs to hear, right? You start getting like kind of in his face maybe, or, you're standing your ground and you're being tough. Well, maybe he's not even being that just yet, but you're being prepared, and that's the way you're giving that response. That's toxic masculinity as well. Understand, masculinity is not owned by one sex or the other. It's just energy. And as men and women, we have masculine and feminine energy within inside of us. Yes, men tend to be based more in their masculine based off of our biology, right? Just like women tend to be based more in their feminine because of their biology, right? But you can tap into and exude either or of those energies whenever you see fit. And no matter who it is, you could be exhibiting it in very unhealthy and toxic ways. And take the woman in a relationship that has not learned how to regulate her emotions yet, right? Maybe she's been fighting all of her life with the men in her life. So she comes to a relationship with a man, and when they have arguments, she hits on him, swings on him, right? We know we've definitely seen and heard that before, to where she is getting her masculine energy, a challenging energy, in a very unhealthy way, right? Ultimately, man or woman, if you're using your masculinity in toxic ways, unhealthy ways, it means you're using your masculine energy as a weapon instead of what it's truly designed for, which is to help you take on challenge to be a champion for a situation. Masculine energy is best used to do positive things, compete, right? To build, to create, to solve problems, to bring resolve. It's not built to be used as something to go cause harm or dictate. If you need help learning how to use your masculine energy in a healthy way and not in a destructive way, to email or DM me the word coaching, and we'll get to work as long as you're truly ready to put the work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time or the space for it, email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can take my relationship renewal course and all the other courses and all the things I have as a coach in that community to help you get the same results that I help my clients one-on-one get at your own pace on your own time. Either way, get in the race. Let's get it.